This is Media Philosophy, and we're exploring the deeper side of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, more specifically, Charlie Day's role within the show, and how he has gone farther than any other character within It's Always Sunny, compared to people like Dee Reynolds or Mac, Dennis, whatever. And the key difference between what makes Charlie Day, able to go and actually spread his wings and get more roles than the other people is the character that he plays within Always Sunny is a lot more wholesome than all the other gang members by far. By far. I mean, just let's go down the list. First, we have D, which honestly is probably the worst of them all. It's a toss up between probably D and Dennis, but Dee has this extra edge of meanness to her, and she has definitely probably sexually assaulted numerous men across Philadelphia. She has definitely done that. Just that episode where they try to figure out who the father is of Dee's baby, and they go over all of her past lovers like Rex or the army guy, whatever his name is, I forget. And her whole strategy is just berating a whole bunch of guys into having sex with her. So that's just on the low side of what she's done. She has done a lot more worse things than that, from just berating people to, I'm pretty sure she's actually planned to hurt people. I don't know if she's actually gone through with it. Usually she ends up getting hurt. That's why it actually works, though, for Dee, is that she actually ends up usually being the one who gets hurt, who's like the comic foil and whatnot. So it does kind of work that she can be so mean, because it never works out for her in such extreme ways. And not only do things not work out with her in the outside world within Philadelphia, but even within the gang, Mac, Charlie, Dennis, even Frank, they're always just ganging up on her. So it makes sense that she would have a lot of anger issues and insecure and want to go and fight out with other people. But then there is Dennis, and he is definitely, I mean, they've already kind of alluded that he is the one who had killed Maureen Ponderosa. So there's that, whatever you want to do with that. But he does definitely use people, he manipulates people. Basically what I'm getting at is these folks are portrayed in such a negative light that it's hard to carry that image outside of outside that show, which is a shame, but also a testament to how good the cast of It's Always Sunny is at playing these roles. They really are just typecasted wonderfully. I mean, they did kind of make these roles for themselves in a way. The guy who plays Mac, Rob, whatever his name is. I mean, I'm pretty sure a lot of these are just friends from school and whatnot, more or less. But regardless, they're so successful about playing these several characters that it's impossible to see them outside of these own roles. And this is very common with successful TV shows. Probably the worst side effect of having such a successful TV show is how you can never escape television, or even that just single role from here on out. And that's why a lot of big movie stars might do guest appearances here or there, but try to stay away from television more or less, in any capacity greater than maybe a guest role here, or a voice acting role here or there. But it happens with every sitcom, Friends, Seinfeld, Cheers, everything. Just there's always going to be one shining star who's going to rise above. And in this case, it's clearly Charlie Day. I mean, he is in so many films. I forgot that he was in Pacific Rim, Horrible Bosses, Monsters University. To be fair, the actor who plays Dee Reynolds is also in Finding Dory. But I would like to believe that it was Charlie Day that opened the door for Dee Reynolds to come on in and have a spot at the table of Pixar. That's just my guess. But even beyond that, he then uses that experience as art from Monsters University to go on and play Luigi in the Super Mario Bros. Movie, and I hope he's in all the sequels and whatnot. It's just his character within Always Sunny, to basically contrast it with the rest of it, is so pure and so innocent in a sense. I mean, he's basically just a child stuck in a man's body, in a sense. So when he does do these awful things, you can almost play it off as it being a misunderstanding. Just like how if an 8-year-old messes up something, destroys something, but maybe has good intentions, you are upset, you're angry, but you really can't stay mad at them. And that's probably a little bit with Charlie's character and being able to go outside it, because the other characters, again, just have done so awful stuff, from sexual assaults to violence to plottings, but Charlie doesn't really do that. He is more just a tool, and that's why, and I think the media and the masses' minds, he is just so lovable, because he is just being a tool used by the others a lot of the time. And when he is trying to take the helm, it's just so adorably clumsy, or his motives are somewhat more pure, I would say. A lot of times it is trying to protect the waitress, which is creepy on its own. That's probably his main issue, is his stalking of the waitress. And while stalking is never okay, and that's something I think they definitely have clamped down on in more current seasons, is the whole stalking. I mean, there was the point where Charlie actually got the waitress, and that did not work, and that's when I think Charlie knew that it's all going to be done. I would actually like to go revisit to see what episodes the waitress has been in since Charlie and her actually tried dating for once, and Charlie completely just dropped the ball there. Because I know she went to Ireland and kind of interacted with Dee there, but I don't know exactly what Charlie and the waitress's relationship has been since Dennis left and came back and whatnot. But It's Always Sunny did recognize that stalking isn't okay and have changed it, just like so many other contemporary sitcoms, adult animated cartoons have changed things about characters or the world to make it so what was okay in the past is no longer okay. And I would probably, and I'm behind that, when it comes to things like the sexual assaults bit of it. There's no reason why we really need to play up that being funny, because there are so many real world dangers with that, and especially when there's like laughter behind it, it's harder to make it seem like it's not okay. Versus like violence, when it comes to like violence, it's really easy. I mean, there's been Tom and Jerry cartoons with people getting hit with anvils since people were drawing pictures. So I don't think that but we all know that violence is wrong. But clearly when it comes to sexual assault, sexual issues, the gray area is there too much that it's probably good that that's kind of being phased out of comedy a little bit. Unless you're a really talented comedian and can really craft something that's funny on a lot of different levels. But that's the issue with a lot of the other characters, again, is they engage in such racy attitudes. They're either objectifying men or women, they're being sleazeballs, they're taking advantage of other people. And Charlie doesn't really engage in any of that. He is just a lovable oaf who doesn't even understand what's going on. And that is what allows us as the audience to accept him in these other roles, where so many of these other It's Always Sunny cast members have tried to escape their current characters. Dee has tried twice now, once with the Mick, and I know that she has a name. I don't have the ability to look it up right now because I'm recording on my phone, so I apologize. But I know that she has tried with the Mick, and then she has a current show out right now. We'll see how if that lasts or not, because let's be real, it's so hard to launch another TV show nowadays. Glenn Howard of Dennis Reynolds did get success with AP Bio. I did watch a bit of that. I didn't finish it, so I don't know if there was a conclusion, but I think it got 4 or 5 seasons, so that was pretty successful. I would imagine that the setup and the filming for that is pretty easy compared to maybe some other shows. And then I do know Rob, who plays Mac, has a bunch of other TV shows and things behind the scenes, I believe. I think he's pretty successful on Apple and whatnot. Apple Plus, whatever their streaming services. He has some sort of, I want to say soccer show, not Coach Leahy, obviously, but some other show that cricket's also in or whatnot. And then obviously Frank Reynolds is as Danny DeVito. Danny DeVito already has so many names under his belt, so many credits that he's just doing this for fun. And it's so funny that I've been seeing, I feel like, Danny DeVito just pop up more and more. Now that I think about it, Danny DeVito's always been a pretty constant throughout movies and TV shows and whatnot. I mean, he really goes to show that if you have a dream and you really go at it and you can fit a niche, you could be successful. I think he started off as like a photographer or something, but regardless, he has always been pretty present, and it's great that It's Always Sunny has really cemented that history, and hopefully will carry on his legacy, because nothing lasts forever. It's Always Sunny, just like every other TV show. I mean, just look at all the most famous TV shows there are in the past that are barely mentioned nowadays. I mean, Cheers, I would imagine nobody knows what Cheers are if they are under the age of 25, and that's probably being like generous. But I'm just saying that I hope that Frank Reynolds, that Danny DeVito's name continues to live on a little bit longer thanks to It's Always Sunny. But I know Charlie Day, it's going to be really interesting to track Charlie Day's career over every other cast members. Because again, I think they just keep running into these walls where they're getting typecasted or only viewed for what their characters did on this show. And again, that's just a sign of a very successful actor. There's a lot of actors out there that are probably hated by the public because they've done such a good job. And I'm not saying that people hate the It's Always Sunny cast members, but again, they have done so many awful things. It is hard to shake that in your long-term memory. And I think even a lot of the cast members are pretty bummed out about that in a sense. I mean, of course, you're not ever going to be upset with success. I mean, they're millionaires, they're famous, they're rich. But I bet they are a little bit disappointed that these characters that they started playing probably when they were like in their mid-20s or something are still going on. And they've just been lost in this role and probably are dying to do other things. Even in AP Bio, even when you see Glenn Howard in anything else, it's just impossible not to see him as Dennis. And maybe that's honestly a failure in his acting, if anything else. Because, I mean, with Charlie, I guess you do still see Charlie, but you don't get sick of it. And Charlie's delivery, the way he talks, the way his voice inflects and whatnot, is so charming and endearing and funny that you don't get sick of it. Does he play the same character in every single role? I mean, not really, because with It's Always Sunny, I mean, he's an illiterate dope who can't even probably get a job outside of It's Pouty's Pub, and when he does get those jobs outside of it, he completely botches them. I mean, he seems like a good worker when he does get away from this toxic group, so really, again, it's the group that kills Charlie, but that's neither here nor there. And then the other roles, he varies. I mean, he's like some sort of goofy scientist in Pacific Rim and Horrible Bosses. He's a dedicated father who is just trying to provide for his kids but get caught up in some scam. He's got some other cameos here and there, like in Vacation, where he has some pretty funny bit. But overall, I would say there is some variation, but I would say it's the comedy variation. It's like the Adam Sandler level of variation, where even when Adam Sandler does play something that seems a little bit more heavy, serious, like Uncut Gems, when you really start dissecting it, it's all the same. So no, I don't even think Charlie Day is immune to this criticism of, Glenn Howard or the person who plays Dee or any of them. I think they do kind of have that same quality, that same appeal, and I'm not saying they're one-trick ponies, but they do such a good job, and It's Always Sunny, and they all work so well together that we just want to keep seeing them in that. And it's unfortunate that as much as they try to keep escaping, they're drawn back to each other. I think we're going to keep watching them. I think we're going to keep watching them pull off schemes and pranks and whatever mischief up until they're in the nursing home. So I'm all for it. But I'm really glad that Charlie Day was able to escape. Hopefully the other actors, hopefully the person who played Dee is able to keep going, find another show. But this is just suffering from success. This is Media Philosophy, exploring the deeper side of entertainment.